Tunisian authorities have arrested Saadia Mosbah, a recipient of the 2023 Global Champion Award for the fight against racism. Critics describe this move as politically motivated. Indeed, following the arrest of human rights activist Saadia Mosbah in May 2024 on charges of money laundering and illicit enrichment, a Tunisian court sentenced the 66-year-old, a prominent figure in the political opposition, to 8 years in prison and a fine of $35,000 on Thursday, March 19, 2026. This verdict comes as a major shock and forms part of a broader effort to dismantle civil society groups and shift the blame onto them for the state's failure to manage the migration issue, explained Mosbah's lawyer, Hella Ben Salem. Saadia Mosbah is Tunisian. She was born in Tunisia and grew up there, just as several generations of her family had before her. Saadia Mosbah is a Tunisian activist who has dedicated her life to the fight against racial discrimination and prejudice, as well as to the defense of the rights of Black Tunisians. After studying law, Saadia began her professional career as a flight attendant and later a cabin manager for the airline Tunisia, a period during which she witnessed numerous instances of discrimination. In 2013, following multiple unsuccessful attempts to establish an association dedicated to fighting racial discrimination under the regime of President Ben Ali, she finally founded Nemti, meaning My Dream. This association is dedicated to raising public awareness regarding the value of diversity and the importance of equality, denouncing racism in the public sphere, ensuring legal protection for all, increasing the visibility of the Black population within the cultural sphere, and promoting socio-economic development in predominantly Black communities. Saadia works tirelessly to combat racial discrimination on both the national and international stages, notably by advocating for the establishment of legal and policy frameworks conducive to the protection of Black Tunisians. Very quickly, she succeeded in making anti-Black racism a subject of national debate. The political establishment was thus compelled to address this issue. It did so by enacting a law recognizing slavery as a crime against humanity. In March 2018, still under pressure from the country's anti-racist organizations, Parliament passed an anti-racism law penalizing racist speech, and even more severely, speech inciting racial hatred and violence. However, it is well known that a law has never been sufficient, in itself, to change a people's mindsets. In Tunisia, much as in the United States under Obama, the mobilization of Black people against racism and their demand for the recognition of their human and civil rights triggered an ultra-violent backlash from the country's dominant groups. Tunisian anti-racist activists were initially subjected to harassment and defamation. Subsequently, they faced disparagement and were even accused of treason, specifically because the Tunisian National Party accused anti-racist movements of seeking to carry out a great replacement of the country's allegedly indigenous population. Saadia Mosbah, in particular, was targeted because she openly supported African migrants who are subjected to a regime of extreme violence and discrimination in Tunisia. In 2022, the Tunisian president adopted the racist rhetoric of the Tunisian National Party to enact fascist laws against migrants. Consequently, these migrants faced campaigns of physical assault, cycles of attacks on and looting of their homes, and waves of forced expulsions to the desert where, without food or water and already destitute, they were and remain exposed to a heightened risk of mortality. The stigmatization of African migrants has ultimately extended to Black Tunisians, who are now viewed as suspicious Tunisians, as fake Tunisians, despite having lived in the country for centuries. Saadia Mosbah has stood firm in her convictions by denouncing the racist excesses of the Tunisian president, who has instigated a campaign of ultra-violent and deadly Negrophobia campaign that rivals the punitive expeditions carried out by Ku Klux Klan racists in the deep south of the United States for nearly a century. On May 6, 2024, the Tunisian president ordered the arrest of Saadia Mosbah on charges of treason and contributing to a demographic threat. She has since been accused of seeking to negrify the Tunisian population by facilitating the settlement of sub-Saharan Africans in Tunisia. Suffice it to say that there exists in Tunisia a centuries-old current of Negrophobia that transcends the scope of current political issues. Few people are likely aware of this, but Slim Marzoug, a black Tunisian who spoke out against Negrophobia in Tunisia, was confined to a psychiatric hospital for 35 years by Bourguiba. Free Saadia Mosbah. No to all forms of Negrophobia, wherever they may originate. Read for you by the Conscious Generation for a Free Africa. One people, one continent, one struggle for the liberation of Africa.